Let me clear my throat. Yeah, oh, that's better. That's better. Somebody pass around the offering. Since I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I might as well get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortunately, blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got you underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. That game plan, show out like a jotter, pop out like a cutter. Telling the quick rock, skipping the country squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots, ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with peasant needles. So lethal, make Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dream till it's seen as illegal. And I still probably will, cause I can never give up. I got my goals calling me.
Happy Thursday, everybody. How y'all doing? How you doing? How are you doing? I hope you all have had a great week. It is Thursday night. And we are one more day closer to Friday, right? I know I'm glad about it. I hope you are. And this month is almost over. Isn't that crazy? It is already the end of February. We are on the second month of the year is already gone. All right, we can pretty much say this is a wrap, right? But we are glad to be here. 2026 is proven to be very it's very telling. It's very interesting. And I know this weather. I pray everyone has made it through this weather very smoothly. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of the snow. I'm trying not to talk about it because I don't want to upset it and make it want to stay even longer because I'm ready to see it go. No more blizzards. How about we hit the beach? Let's do that. Let's do that. But as you know, it is our Thursday night time to come and talk and converse and just spend some time with each other, growing and gleaning and all of the things. Because here we keep it real, we keep it raw, we keep it live, and we want to continue to do so. So for those of you who don't know, and then those of you who do, I am Lady Dawn B, your Thursday night host here on the greatest network to do it in these YouTube streets, which is what? The Bravo with Sheila Network. And we always pay homage and salute to the curator of this space, the Pastor Sheila Ingram. I call her my Auntie Bravo, but you know her, you love her, and if you don't, you will before it is all said and done. So I want to thank you all for taking your time to tune in with us. If you don't mind, before we do anything, the first thing we'll ask you to do is just hit that thumbs up button. You'll see it on your screen on YouTube. If you could just tap it, just touch it. You ain't got to knock it off. Just, a little, just so that it, flips up. We do appreciate it because that is what helps push us out into these YouTube streets further. Let's YouTube know we are doing our job. So we appreciate it, sir, and please, ma'am, and thank you, brave brothers and bravettes, for doing that for us. We love you and we appreciate you, and we want to keep bringing you great conversation. So with that being said, we have a few rules here. This is not a religious channel. We do have one right across the street. I'll tell you about it later, but over here, we just have open dialogue and conversation on Thursday nights. Me and the squad, the crew, we come in, we talk. It's not scripted. We just talk to you live. We keep it real and raw because why? We need to start being able to have these hard conversations. And so here we have what we call bold conversations, which lead to better relationships. Because the most important relationship that we can improve is the one with ourselves, right? But when we are our best self, we show up better in the spaces that we're in and to the people that we love and serve. So, with that being said, we want to invite you to share, to engage. We look forward to you talking and sharing with us. You know, we love to laugh, we love to talk. We don't have to agree. This is not one voice, one sound. We come to hear everyone's perspective, whatever your moral compass is. We want you to share from it and share from the wealth of your experience. For me, I'm a God's girl, so you always gonna get a little Jesus when you get me. Most of our panels also believers, so when you hear us talking from that perspective, it is not to diminish anyone else's experience, but we are talking from what again our moral compass is. So we want to receive everybody's thoughts, feelings, opinions, and the only rule and number one and most important is that we do so with respect. If respect is displayed or found in the chat or on the panel, unfortunately, we will have to remove you because we're very serious about the integrity of this station. And with that being said, we have the greatest moderator to ever do it in these YouTube streets. She greets everyone as they come in. She is the most amazing Inne Kenya, who is in the building with us on tonight, as always, on her post. And we love her and appreciate her so very much for everything that you do, Inne. And as well as she greets you, she is also security. So she will also put you out. So let's make sure we don't make her do all her jobs on tonight. We just let her moderate graciously. Is that all right? And works for you? All right. And then also I see up here in the chat, you know her, you love her. She is my mama. I'm her 404. That's right. She pushed me out after my brothers and sisters and said, that is it. Perfection has come. And here I is. Don't tell them I said that, but you can tell them I said that. Hi, Mommy. She says, good evening, everyone. This sounds like a great topic, and I'm going to be listening to hear some good sharing. I'm going to get my popcorn and sit back and listen. Yes, ma'am. Please do. You might need to be on this side of the screen tonight. I thank you, Mommy, for tuning in. You know that we love you, and you can catch her across the street on that spiritual channel I was about to tell you all about, and I'll tell you about that at the end of the show, but we do have one. So welcome in, everyone. When you come in, please say hello so that we can greet you properly. You don't have to be afraid or ashamed to come in and share. Speak. We want to speak back to you. This is a safe place. I promise. I told you we have security, and Naya's on her job. And trust and believe. We just want to hear from you. But if you wouldn't mind, please, ma'am, please, sir, just hit that thumbs up button. It is free 99 to you, but it does mean everything to us. So, without further ado, we've been having an amazing conversation all month long. February is the month of love, and we have been talking about that. It seems like it's a topic we can't get away from, nor should we. Why? Because they say love makes the world go round. Now, I don't know if it really makes the world go round, but I know it makes the world do something. So, right? So it makes it do something. And we're grateful for what it does do. Last week, we had our men on, and they were talking and chatting. Listen, if you missed it, go back and watch the replay. Why? Because I got questions. And I need some answers. Oh, look who's in the building. Come on. I can't help but smile when he pops up. He is Moose B Strength Poet MB Strength. Hey, beloved, how are you? You know you're supposed to be on this side of the wall, but we're going to let you rest where you at. I mean, you come on over if you feel like it. You do what you feel tonight. Do what you feel. But we want to have a dynamic conversation. So I'm asking everyone to please engage, join in. We want to hear from you. We're looking forward to it. And of course, here she is, the queen of the Bravo with Sheila Network, the Pastor Sheila Ingram, my Auntie Bravo. She says, blessings. Have a great show. Thank you, Auntie. We are going to do our best to dig in and dive in. And I am excited, y'all. So many wonderful things that are happening. And I am excited about it. As I have expressed once before, our podcast is nominated for the BB Online Awards. Yay! Look at us getting somewhere. Look, being recognized. It is a blessing just to be nominated, and we appreciate it. Couldn't do what we do. We need all the moving parts, and whether or not we come out with the win, we've already won. So we are grateful for that. And my own bit of good news. Maybe I'll wait till I bring Coach Theo up, because I think she'll be excited about this bit of news. So y'all know her. You love her. I always say America has their sweetheart, and the Bravo Nation has theirs. She is amazing. She is phenomenal. She is beautiful. She is such a sweetheart. But don't play, because she will also set the record straight and set it off. She is my sister from another mister, my co-author, my friend, and I just love everything that is her. She never knows who I'm talking about when I'm talking about her, but she is in the person of Coach Theo, and she is with us tonight. Hey, sis.
Hey, sis, what's going on?
Everything and nothing at the same time. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad it's Thursday.
And amen. And amen to that. You and me both in three. In three. I was the second and third place. I'm glad it's Thursday. One more day. We can make it, y'all. We can make it.
Yes.
No. Before we get into this conversation, my other good news that I wanted to share, because I think Coach Theo would be very proud to know that you can now call me Coach Dawn or Reverend Coach, because I completed my certification in life coach training.
Yes.
Really done with that. But guess what, y'all? I'm not stopping there, because I'm just extra. So I am moving on to get what they call master certification in life coaching, which is 3 of the courses that I have to take. But guess what? We are in the door. So It's official, y'all. Okay.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you, sis. I knew you'd be proud and handling my business, doing all the things that I need to do. All right, so there we go. Thank you, beloved. Lisa, congratulations. I said, listen, y'all, this brain of mine be tired.
Let me tell you, that's what happens when you're intentional.
And I'm going to keep on being that, because I like to master the things that I learn, whether it be people, places, or things. I want to master it. Let me know all the things that I need to know. But yeah, so welcome in. And let's get into this conversation, which our topic tonight is when the vows break. I'm going to let y'all breathe on that. And those of you who are up in the silent seats, the expensive section, we see you, or at least I see you. So I want to say good evening to you too. I hope you'll come down to the comment section and say hello. Let us greet you properly. We want to chat with you. We want to hear your voice. We want to, we want to have a little partaking of your thoughts on tonight. Okay, so I'm looking forward to this conversation, because as February, again, is the month of love, it's Valentine's Day, and we've done all these things and had these moments. And last week we talked about the heart of a man, or a man's heart. And again, our men's panel shared so much with us. Like, me and Theo was taking notes, and I hope you were too, because sometimes we need to pause and listen to our men so we can dispel some of our myths and ideologies about how they are feeling and really what they experience. So that was a very enlightening show, and I'm looking forward to them coming next month. But you know how we do it tonight on this very mic. You're about to hear. We swear the best podcast, that's right, of the year. So, cheerio. Y'all scream what? Bravo. Also, if you didn't know, this is Coach Dawn B show. There you go. I know Theo loves when I do that. I told you I'm going to do it every single Thursday night. And by the summertime, y'all going to be chanting it with me. Watch. If you're not chanting it, I know it stays in your head. I know it does. I know when I'm not around. Because y'all love me like that. So yeah, that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to dig into another great conversation to wrap up this month. And the topic again tonight is when the vows break.
Where's
Um,
everybody at?
hmm.
I said, where's everybody at?
But we are here. We here. Who needs to be here is here. So we good. We good. We gonna have a great conversation. Um, when I thought about this topic, I thought about the fact that while people are getting all the flowers and setting up stuff for Valentine's Day and loving on each other and doing all of these other amazing things and moments, um, you know, there are some people that are not feeling that way. So, what was your thoughts when you heard this topic, Theo?
I, I normally don't even see the topic until like probably a couple of minutes before I come on. But I don't know. I was just like, okay, what's this about? I'm always like, what's this about? Because I never know what to expect. So, I know it's gonna be something interesting though.
Well, I thought about all of the all of the broken promises that have been made, whether by us or by other people. And a lot of us, even in this month of love, while we're showing love in certain ways, like, do those flowers you really buying, are you buying them really from a place of love and in your heart, or are you buying them out of obligation? What has happened to the relationships? Because some of us are just going along to get along. Some of us, and that's the reality of it. We can portray all of these amazing in love, lovey-dovey things, but the truth of the matter is that everybody's not having a wonderful Valentine's Day. Every February is not, tugging on everybody's heartstrings because somebody somewhere broke a vow. There's a promise that was made that was broken. Hey sis, welcome in. The juggling mommy is in the building. How are you doing, sis? So glad you can make it on tonight. I appreciate you. Um, so I want to ask first, and we're just having conversation in chat. Y'all please chime in. But Theo, when it comes to your thought about taking a vow, making a vow, and breaking a vow, where do you lie? Like, are vows something that's heavy for you? Do you make them? Do you expect people to keep them when they make them?
I do. I mean, for me, one the things that are important to me are loyalty and honesty and integrity, right? And so, um, and of course, I've been there. I've been disappointed by people who have told you one thing but shown you another, right? So I do expect people
Mm-hmm.
to, be true to their word. But I think as you get older and as you experience things, I think one of the things I had to learn is when you are disappointed or when people are not true to their word, it has more to do with them than it does to you, than about you, right? Because I think, there was a time when I would be like, oh, what's wrong with me? Or why didn't they choose me? Or why did they do X, Y, Z, right? But then you realize that some people just, don't have it in them to maintain the vows that they take for whatever reason.
Hmm. So that's a good point, and it makes me think of then why make it? I don't like to make promises that I can't keep. And that's what a vow is. A vow is basically it's a solemn promise. It's a commitment. It's you being dedicated to someone or something. And oftentimes we make vows and promises because they sound good at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I
But
think I think that's it for some people. I think some people make vows and promises because they sometimes tell people what they want to hear, right? So they go along to get along. Um, and some people, it just comes down to their character. I'm usually not gonna, I am not gonna usually tell somebody that I'm gonna do something or be something if I know I'm not capable of it. Because for me, um, integrity and character
Mhm.
is important. So how I show up is important to me. But everybody's not like that. And some people it's just immaturity. I think for some people it's just, immaturity, and then they might have other stuff that's going on that they haven't dealt with. So
Yeah, I think that oh, hold on before we go further in this conversation. He is in the building. The voice of God is here.
yes,
And
yes,
so
yes. Come on, look.
y'all know I had to pull him on up.
Yes.
Of course. So
We
um, you know, I think it's so important. A lot of times we mean well when it comes to it and we want to do, but we got to be honest with ourselves. When we talk about, it was us, your word, intentionality.
Mhm.
I intended to and I wanted to, but how many times have we dropped the ball in relationships of all kinds and disappointed people we um because we missed it, because we did not come through with the vow that we made. When we take on too much, we need to, like, don't try to be everybody's hero. I would rather you tell me the disappointment that comes with when we break our word or when we break our promise. It leads to so many other things. It leads with disappointment. It results in disappointment. It breaks trust. It can even turn us off. Like, it takes away from the attraction of people sometimes,
Mhm.
because I no longer look at you in the same way, that I once did, you know. And it's not always the thing I love about these conversations, that it's not just about, we often put ourselves in the victim seat.
Mhm.
But what about the promises that we made or the vows that we made? I mean, all of us up here have been married,
Mhm.
or are married. And we understand that vow, that you make in the relationship. And I think a lot of people have issues and are iffy with commitment in relationships because they do not believe that the person is always going to follow through all the way. Like, I have, I have questions and I'm reformed, reforming. But um, I often wonder, like, so you love me, but you're gonna love me until, I think it's my question is always, what is that until? And some people may consider that, like, oh, well, you're thinking of it, as you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. No, I'm waiting for reality to show up. Because it's easy to say what we're going to do when the situation is not there. But when the situation presents itself, are you going to make good on the promise you made, even if that means stretching yourself to do so? Or are you going to go back on your word because it's easier to disappoint me? Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and I'm, and as you was talking, I'm thinking, right, like, the younger me and the me now, right? So I was married, but I was married in my what, probably mid 20s, late 20s, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and wonderful guy, like great guy, but he had some issues, right? And I would say I broke that vow, but I broke that vow because I was not. I'm gonna say I probably wasn't mature enough in the sense
Okay.
of, like, I was, I'm mature, right? But I wasn't at a space where I was ready to handle or manage his issue,
Mm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I chose to leave, right? Like, it wasn't. I mean, and I know I disappointed him. I broke his heart, I'm sure, right? But I was not in a space where I could handle, and I don't want to tell his business, right? So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
a little vague, but I wasn't in a space where I was able to navigate, right? In a way that I think now the older me, the mature me, right? The 50 something, almost 60 me, right, would have probably been able to give the support that he needed, if that
Okay.
makes sense, right? And so I think sometimes it just depends on the stage of life that we're in, right? It took me a long time to get to the point of saying, I can't do this anymore, right? But it was either stay and we be, it just be like where it gets to a space where you're just both miserable, or really just say, this isn't working, right? And I'm gonna take a step out of it. I'm gonna step out of it, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's mature when we can have those conversations and we get to those points. And I can definitely relate because in my marriage is pretty the same way. I went through it for different circumstances, but basically the same reason. Like, I don't have the bandwidth to do this.
Mm-hmm.
To do, because there were vows that were broken.
Mm-hmm.
And there was disappointment that was present. There was the lack of trust when that wasn't there before. And then learning what it feels like to be unsafe now with the person that was your safety,
Mm-hmm.
is a very, I would say that it's a hard pivot to make,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think when we all go through those moments, we've all been through disappointment. We've all been through both sides. We've caused disappointment and we've experienced that disappointment. And because of that, it affects so many of us from moving forward in relationships. Like, why do we allow that one situation to hold us hostage for every other relationship that's going to potentially happen? We are cutting off the joy of our lives, the love in life, because one thing didn't happen. I don't believe that there are any fair. And chat, y'all chime in. Y'all share your thoughts on, what do you feel about what happens when vows break? Hey, there he goes. Um, we've all been. Okay, so let me ask y'all this: how do you deal with disappointment? Think about it like this: why do we quit loving and being in relationships when we are disappointed? When we were in school, you could have failed a test, you failed a class, and you were disappointed, but it didn't stop you from going to school. It didn't stop you from studying. Sometimes it was the motivation that you needed to get yourself aligned, focused, adjusted, and studying more, right? Digging in more. So our mentality of, if it happens in that case, and I know that all disappointments are different, but and they hit different, but that same mentality that we have, that we got to get up and keep going when something doesn't work out externally that we would like to. I struggle with why we don't apply that to relationships, or each other, because you get one bad moment and there's no good women. You get one bad egg and it says there's no more good men. It's like, no, life just happened. What do y'all think? Because I stay there because I got questions. Moose, you look like you're
I'll
stirring.
let you know, Moose.
Hey, family. Hey, beloved. This is a heavy topic,
Yeah.
because not everybody takes vows to heart. For some people, they're just words.
Sure.
Um, when vows break, whether you're breaking them or they were broken with you, there's a heavy weight behind that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And for some people, it's tied to failure, to loss, a lot of things, you know. I know for me
Hmm.
personally, to get to the point where I'm at now in life, uh, I had to realize that a broken vow is not me. I'm not broken just because the vow is broken,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I can't speak for a lot of people, but at
Hmm.
least for me, my vows have always meant something to me. You know, anything that I was a part of, it meant something to me. You know, like um, if I can't be there, like when I say I'm there, I hurt, you know? And I know for another person, it's, you know, maybe a broken promise or whatever it may be, but it hurts me too to miss that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then you think about the vows taken in
Right.
that, uh, those vows, I only had it in me once to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for whatever reasons that those vows are not kept, I can't do it again.
Mm.
So uh, they're very important.
So let me ask you something. Let me kind of sidebar right there because I understand exactly where you're at and where you're coming from. You know, like you said, those vows, for whatever the reason, again, all of us, been in that situation, and the vows we took have been broken, regardless as to how they were broken. They were broken and they affect everyone. And you said, but you realize you can't do it again. And I used to feel the same way. And I'm just interpreting it in my own mind, in my language, not, in addition to what you're saying. My mentality was the same way. And I had to reframe my thinking. Like I really had to be like, I would never do those vows again. Those that I took in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not doing that. But there are some vows somewhere that maybe I will take those, but I ain't doing these no more. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm helping somebody
Yeah,
because
I think I'm getting. I think
that
I get.
yeah, but and this is why I think this conversation is so important because we get stuck in the brokenness of a promise when they're so like we gotta get up from there, and then we label everyone else after that no good, bad, unreliable. We go into the next thing with the expectation because we've now experienced disappointment, and I'm speaking from experience. I look, the number one thing I struggle with is disappointment. And because of that, I don't put expectations on people. I may have standards, but I don't expect anything from you. You can still be trying to give me everything in the world, and I still wouldn't. I think I've been called like nonchalant. I've been told I was stoic because it's just I'm like it's not that. I appreciate it. I see it. I recognize it. It's not that my heart's all full of bubbles and flowers and stuff, but I don't want to get used to this extension of you doing this or me feeling this way. And I'm being honest about how our feelings get trapped up in a disappointment that happened previously to the point where we can't even allow ourselves to be open to a new experience that has not failed us yet. And we don't even know if it will, but we're still stuck in that prior disappointment. We get, and it takes time. It takes time because now we've experienced this. Now I know what disappointment feels like. And for me, I got so stuck in it that I expected it up front. So that's part of the reason why I never expected anything from anybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I think I went through that period of where I was called cold, right? I was called, because I'm like, you just had to do one little thing. You breathe the wrong way, right? I'm out, you know. but
I don't
I
know if I
think
was that. bad.
But I think with time, right, and it probably happened much later in life, right, where I had, got disappointed to the point of it sent me on this healing journey, is where I realized that a lot of times, part of the disappointment wasn't really from the other person, right? What part did I play in disappointing myself for staying in a situation that I knew I wasn't getting what I should be getting, right? Disappointing myself because I'm trying to hold on to something or somebody just because I'm in love with the thought of being in love, right? And so I think that came from me, going from a space of where I was like guarded to a place where I got open, got really disappointed, and then had to go on a journey to say, okay, what part of all of this do you play in it, right? And that's when I realized, right, I was disappointing myself in some cases, right? It wasn't really the person disappointing me, right? Because they were showing me who they were. Their actions weren't lining up with what I was saying, right? But I was telling myself another story in my head. I was making excuses. I was doing whatever I needed to do. So I think part of it is also just being real with yourself and being honest with yourself. And I think that might be why some people are unable to move forward, is because they have not taken that look in the mirror, right? And been introspective and say, what part of all of these disappointments, these hurts, this whatever I've been through, did I play in it? Because when we show up always as the victim, we can't really see how we had a part in the situation we ended up in. And I'm talking.
I was going to say, in addition to that, like you said, how much did I disappoint myself? Yeah. Because I created a dynamic of our relationship that never existed.
Yeah.
And then expected you to fill it in.
Exactly.
And then when you didn't sign up for that. You know what I'm saying? You did not agree to it. We can force ourselves in spaces of relationships just because we vibe, just because we hang out, just because we go place, just because we spend time. It doesn't make you my man. It doesn't make me your woman. But a lot of times, because we have these experiences, I've already locked you into this relationship label and made this dynamic and created an existence that you never we just having a good time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then we become hurt because we're holding. We are holding the other person responsible for something that we never expressed, we never had conversation about, and they never agreed to. But now we're disappointed and we're frustrated with them. When it's a you thing, it's a me thing. I can't be responsible if your feelings running off with you because you are enamored or elated by me, or vice versa. You can't be held responsible because I'm stuck on stupid when it comes to you, and I have created this in my mind that this is what we are, and never gave the opportunity of conversation, and wondering why I'm not getting affection back from you that I want. Why you don't hold my hand when we go out? Why you don't open my door? Like those things, like we set ourselves up, but yet we're blaming the other person. So, Moose, does disappointment in those ways look different for men than it does women? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I feel like men are conditioned at a very young age, in a sense, to be disappointed. Like it's a part, like you are taught to be tough because disappointment is going to meet you at the door every day. Am I right? Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. For me, at least, and any other men that's listening or in the comments, they can respond. But for me, disappointment isn't disappointment isn't a deal breaker. It comes with the territory, right? I think for at least for me, the deal breaker as a man for me is the unwillingness, the combativeness to uh, to me and to change and growth, right? So I'm going to be disappointed. That's life, you know. And from a perspective, at least for me, we're two different individuals coming together. We may have things that we like and that we're vibing on, but we're still two different individuals, two different backgrounds, right? Regardless, we could have had the same two parent structure, one single parent structure, no parent structure. It doesn't matter. Um, our variables in our households were very different. There may be similarities, but there are differences. You know, I may grow up as an only child. You may not. You know, so disappointment is going to happen at some point. We're two different human beings. We're going to disappoint each other at different points. But what happens when we disappoint each other? You know, is there an acknowledgement that you may have hurt the other? Is there acknowledgement that like our views are just quite different than the other, and how can we align them and bring them back together? You know, so I think for me, that's what hurts me, when there's no alignment, there's no reconciliation, there's no trying to move and grow. So that's where, I mean, it may all start with disappointment, but for me, it ends with the lack of atonement and alignment.
That's good. I like that. That's good. And atonement and alignment. Yeah. I had to breathe on that one, because as a woman, it's making me think of all the times that I did not kind of respond that way, or was so stuck in my feelings that I wasn't willing to open up, you know, to even have those conversations or try to fix it or address it, because I'm not accustomed to disappointment. Where men, y'all are kind of groomed in it. So you can take it to us what appears like nothing. Like it's nothing to you. And this is where we come off with the, oh, you don't even care.
Correct.
You know, and it's not that you don't care. It's just like you're accustomed to, like, you knew what to expect, you know, whereas women, we don't. Oh, if we're honest, we don't always we don't know how to handle and manage disappointment. That's why we go off the deep end and, you know, jump ship, go crazy, you know, when things don't work out sometimes. You know, sometimes people start slashing tires and do all of, you know, we're not condoning that. I'm just saying it's a real thing that happens. You don't see as many men doing those emotional reactions when it comes to disappointment. And I think women, we have to be mindful of the fact that realistically, men are conditioned at young ages to expect it and taught, where we are not, you know, because we're supposed to be the princesses and all of that. And so emotionally, we are never taught how to manage our emotions in disappointment. You know, let's see what Mama Rosa says. She says, I think where people get stuck in the vows mean or show or show me that we promise that our love relationship to them is a promise to be their security and stability, and the person's heart is broken. She also says, is it part 11? I don't know what that
Part
means,
two.
but okay. Until we confront each other, no matter how ugly it is, the pain will remain right there as if it happened yesterday.
Exactly.
You know, um,
Absolutely. I, I,
and that
I,
goes to your alignment.
I struggle
Go ahead.
a lot with that because, um, you know, what I've come to find out in my anecdotal experience is with women sometimes is that the women that I've encountered don't seem to have a need to apologize or rectify or fix the situation or say, hey, you know what? Yeah, that's my bad. But when it comes on the flip end, I have to be the one to say, yeah, I was wrong. I have to apologize. I have to fix me. I got to fix her. I got to fix whatever the situation might be. And I got to take that weight on me, you know? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard world to be in consistently, because as a man, you get exhausted because you got so much on you. It's a lot of weight, and you can't really say this because someone's going to hear it and they're going to think you're complaining, you're a victim, you're XYZ. But that weight gets heavy after, you know? Um, I did a
Should,
poem, and
yeah.
in that poem, I talked about how the weight of the relationship was just too much, and I used a rucksack as an equivalent, to correlate it. And I was saying, like, if any of you guys have been in the military or hiking or packing and had backpacks, you know that you carry a weight that you can sustain through your time out there, right? That you're going to be carrying on with you, and you're going to be able to trek that even when you're tired. Sometimes the weight of the relationship, from also with a man's perspective, it gets too heavy sometimes. And if you're not unloading or sharing the load with your partner emotionally, so that's why I think some men break. And to your earlier point where you were talking about, like, men, that's why I put my hand up when you were talking about men, may not respond that way. You know what I've noticed? I've noticed men that, uh, in my anecdotal experience, a lot of men who grew up raised by women, and particularly, they respond like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because
Mm.
of environmental, because you don't have another man in the environment to show you how to handle conflict or issues, right? So you're handling issues by what you see. And it's not a shade. I'm not throwing shade to anyone. I'm just saying that in those type of environments, children are only learning what they see. So that's why it's good to have balance, right? You need both male and female so you can see how to respond to certain things. Um, but yeah, like, men learn early on rejection. It's part of the game. It's part of the process. It's part of life, Whereas if you're raising, like for me, I got daughters, right? So, and it wasn't until recently that it clicked in my head, like, wait, am I raising my daughters realistically? Because if I'm raising
Mm.
them in a way that, I'm catering to their every need, every whim, every desire, what's going to happen when she gets older? Even when she's wrong, am I correcting her the right way? Am I letting her know that she can't respond a certain way and think that she's always going to get her way, right? So it's a lot. I'm learning, but yeah, look, the weight of rejection,
That's a good.
disappointment, of just always carrying a weight that you're like, no matter what happens in the relationship, it's your fault. That's a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I
my
think
take.
that comes with men. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said that's just my take. I'm sorry.
No, 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 don't. We're not sorry here. We're not sorry. No, we're learning. We're learning. We're going. This is iron sharpening iron. We're having this discussion. Welcome in, everyone. For those of you who don't know, I'm your Thursday night host, Lady Dawn B. And this is the Thursday night squad. We got the Coach Theo in the building, and we have Mister. I call him the voice of God because he can read anything for me. Moose B Strength in the house, and we are talking. We are wrapping up this month of love. We have had great conversation all month long, and we're wrapping it up with a conversation about when the vows break. Because as much as we do all of these romantic and pretty, storybook gestures, the reality is that that one day sometimes turns into that court date, where the roses are not given anymore, the love is not shown anymore. You go from those beautiful moments, to a not so storybook ending. How, what do we do? How do we handle it when the vows that we've taken, when they're broken for many reasons, and we struggle, a lot of us, with getting back up and getting back out there? How do we get unstuck? because one vow was broken, you know, now we wean off of the entire male population, or all women are worthless. You know, it's a moment and a time, but we get stuck because we have a hard time handling disappointment. And tonight's conversation is to help us to start thinking about the root of why we're stuck, how we're stuck, and how we get out of it. You know, everyone has a right to learn love, receive love in its purest form and in the right way. We all, as human beings, it would be a crime if we leave this earth never having been loved right, never having had the experience thereof. You know, but with love comes disappointment, because we are all what? Human. You know, but it's how we handle those breaks. You know, some breaks you can fix. Well, you know what? Some breaks you can fix and some you can't. But that's not true, because there's always a resolve. The resolve is the fix to every break. The resolve may mean we have to go our separate ways. And that's what fixes the problem, because us being together is not good. I mean, you know, sometimes we don't always have the opportunity nor the capacity to put things back together again. And I think that one of the main things that happens in relationships when vows are broken, and we're talking not just in marriage, all kind of relationships, when that trust is broken, we struggle with fixing it because we don't understand that you can't go back to what was. You have to create a new normal. It will never be what it was. How they say, I'm not going to hold your hand when I say this. You can never go back to what it was before it was broken. And most often we're looking to go back to what it was before it broke, because what it was so good. But when there's a breach somewhere along those relationship lines, you have to think about how good was it? Or take the good times out of those moments and try to use those to build on the next foundation. If I would have realized that when I was going through, you know, my divorce and you know, issues in my marriage, if I would have thought about it that way, I might have had it, you know, like it may have had a different result. You know, I don't know, can't say for sure, but it's how you show. It's because of the expectation. You know, if you break a cup, it could be your favorite cup. You know, if y'all have ever done this, and you get the crazy glue and the Gorilla Glue, and you try to, you know, piece it back together perfectly. It's never the same. Like, it wasn't leaking before. Now the cup is sweating because the components that kept it together are broken. You know, there's a weakness in the foundation now. You know, there's a space where things can come in. You are now mindful. So what do? You don't want to throw the cup away. So now you go get, you know, some paper towels and you fold them up and you put the cup on top of it because you're trying to preserve what once was, and it's never going to be the same. You know, and that's, I think, in just my thoughts, is that if we start to think of and consider the fact that stop expecting it, it's not going to ever go back to what it was. But do we have the ability to make it something different now? So while y'all think about that, I want to share something. When we talk about broken promises and the effects of broken promises, because sometimes while we're experiencing them, we're not aware really of all the effects of broken promises, whether we're the ones who are breaking them or we're the ones who are receiving, because we've all been there. But broken promises destroy trust. That's one of the main things everybody talks about: safety and trust and safety. When you break your promise, it destroys the trust. It damages relationships. It causes emotional distress like anxiety. Now the person is on edge every single time because they're just waiting for you to do something else. So they're waiting for you, you know, where once they were just open, now they are super conscious, overthinking everything and every move. Broken promises cause frustration and low self-esteem. It's an erosion of trust and reliability. There can be long-term psychological impact on a person because, like I was saying earlier, this happened now, and now I don't trust any men. So for the next 10 years, I don't date, I don't look at men, I don't, we've all, I think, been in that cycle because of what I'm experiencing right now. I'm swearing off of the other species, I'm not dealing with the other sex. And that is a long-term impact. And that is unhealthy, for us, not just mentally, emotionally, but physically as well. Um, it creates relationship instability because now I don't know what are you going to disappoint me on next. So where again you were once my safety, now I deem you as unstable. And it really only takes one time, you know, quite often. And not that it should, there has to be grace applied, but have you ever been in a situation where somebody disappointed you one time and you just wrote them off? Like you never gave them another chance to do anything? Is that just me? I know I've done it. I know I have. There's self doubt, self worth, a reduction of self worth, um, and a host of other things that will affect our relationships and how we operate when we experience broken promises. But we can't stay stuck. I don't think anybody wants to stay stuck, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, y'all can share. I'm talking for a
So,
minute, so y'all share. I'm gonna sip my juice for a second.
yeah, I mean, I don't know so much about the relationship thing, but it's funny because when Moose talked about alignment, I literally just finished a program that I'm gonna roll out. Right, it's called the alignment audit, and it's three phases. It's awareness, right? It's um, just being aware, right, of where you're at, what's going on, why you're in this space that you're in. And then it's how do
Mm-hmm.
I get unstuck, right? So then it's the clarity, right? It's thinking about, what are the things that I need to do, change, shift, whatever to get unstuck. And then it's the final phase of movement. How do I move forward, right? And so I just think like if you were to apply that to this space of being disappointed by someone else or being broken or whatever this is, right? For me, and maybe it's because of the journey I've been on, where I've been in those spaces of, clinging to something because all for the wrong reasons, right? And having to realize that a huge part of this life journey for me has to be about how I'm loving myself, right? And then also how I am showing up in the space of being with someone else, right? And recognizing that, how I probably would have handled things as a younger Theodora is different because now my journey has shown me that there are so many little things happening with people each and every day, right? Like life is happening to us every day, right? And so when you're mindful of that, I think it gives you that opportunity to really decide, right? How do I want to navigate this relationship, right? Is this someone that I want to put in the time and the energy to really, evolve with? And because we're always evolving. And so if you think about the fact that you're always evolving, the person that you're with as your partner is also evolving. So are you giving them grace? Are you giving them space? Are you there to support them and encourage them as they're evolving and navigating the things that they're trying to navigate in life? And I truly believe, like, people talk about communication being key to relationships, but let's define what communication looks like for us as a couple, because how people communicate differs, right? So how I communicate with this person might be different than how I'm going to communicate with this person. So I think there's a period where we do have to figure out, how are we aligning with the individuals that we are sharing a life with? And do we have to shift something or realign something so that we can kind of continue to be on the same page, recognizing that we're not always going to be on the same page? So what do we do when we're not on the same page?
Exactly.
Right? How do we keep this thing moving when we're not on the same page? Because we're not always going to be on the same page, because that's not
Absolutely.
realistic.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's a
That's
journey.
where I think.
It took time for me to get to this space, right? Because I'm gonna tell you, I am the youngest. I would tell people in a long time, the younger me, I was selfish. It was all about me. Right?
I mean, I couldn't blame you. I mean, you can't listen. The thing is growth. Like hearing you speak is so much growth,
Yeah.
right? And I think utilizing this and this platform and this talking stage to teach our youth, our younger selves, the younger women, younger men, the direction needed, right? Because imagine if you had this mindset at an earlier stage. Imagine where you would be at today.
Exactly.
And this is some of the things that I try to talk to when I talk to women or men who are in relationships or talking to me about different things. Like, you really want to be in alignment with a partner. And I know it sounds so crazy, but like, uh, for younger men who have their mind in this ideology of growth and trying to build, it makes no sense for them to be with a selfish individual, because that person will become a weight to their growth.
Yeah.
Every time he tries to put two
Mhm.
blocks up, she's going to knock 3 blocks back. Not because she is intentionally doesn't want her in betterment, just because she don't know any better. And and the world has taught her to be selfish. The world has taught her to not think or care about this man's need. This world has said, "Hey, listen, it's all about you, the bag, and what he do." Right? So you're not thinking that, like, wait, you mean to tell me that if I pour into this man gonna create a train that's gonna carry us to where I really want to go? I didn't learn that,
Yeah.
Come
right?
on.
So I'm doing the opposite. So now I'm mad because he says no when I'm not even asking. Well, why are you saying no? What do you see that I don't see? Right? And like, one of the points that I love that you talked about on was like the communication. What does that look like, right? Because sometimes people think talking at a person is communicating with that person.
Mm.
Like, I have a bad habit where I like to explain things in multiple different ways, right? Because number one, that's my personal issue of not wanting to be misunderstood. But second, it's like I really want that to get through to the person. Like, like I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm trying to get you to understand how I think, how I move, and why I'm making this choice for me and you. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times that comes across as controlling, as manipulative, as all these other. So it sucks. It sucks. But where you've gotten to, the for me, the goal is to try to get our younger women to think that way. And I think, women on their end, they have some things they have to deal with
Yeah.
that interfere with them rationalizing. Like,
Oh my. Don't.
there's some
Big
things
time.
there.
Yeah, for real. Like, it's a journey, man. I tell you, like, it took a lot to get here, but I'm so glad I did, because I know the next relationship, it will be amazing.
Yeah, see. Look, I heard you earlier talking. My mind ain't even thinking about all that. You know what I'm saying? Because what I wanted to say to earlier when you were talking, I wanted to say that, like, in regards to the vows, it's the process. It's not about not like loving or this the broken vows hurt it for someone else. It's just the process of going through all this again. Because when you give your all in the beginning, that's a lot. And
But I think that's the thing that I also learned, right? You can't give your all in the beginning, right? You, like, Like, you know,
But why, right?
that's the other thing I want some of, and I don't mean it in that way, but I
No, but I
mean
get it.
it to our younger women who are out here, you know, fulfilling wifely duties, but you don't have that title of wife, you
Yeah,
know?
some people be actually in it. They be married too, and like uh, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little. I get it logically, but there's also an emotional side to me, right? And the emotional side to me is
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I want to be with you. I want us to intertwine like there's no more me and just you.
Yeah.
And I get it to like on a spiritual level. Maybe I'm doing too much, right? Because maybe that's where God like, nah, buddy. That's between me and you, not you and her. But then again, you made her from me and me from her, right? So why can't we intertwine? And why can't I love her like that?
But see, but you're a different, you've done some work, right? So you've matured and you're at a space where, yeah, you know, a woman that's receiving that from you, right? But some women are doing too much for a man that's not trying to give them back. Give it's not, you
I,
know, like
I wish I could have met
what
one.
Justin's word, right? It's not reciprocal, right?
Yeah.
It's not reciprocated, right? You know, and so I think that's the problem, right? Because you're at this space where you're like, yo, I wanna give you my all. I want you to, like, I want to love you. I want to be intertwined with you, right? And then you're not meeting the woman that is is ready to accept that. And then you have some women that are in the space that you are in, and they're not meeting the man that is ready to give that. And that's why I think it's just keep this bumping of the heads.
I got this concept in my
But
head, and
that
I'm sorry.
I don't think that it I think we have to get to the point where we don't allow those things to change us though. Because I need to remain me. Okay, all right. Y'all know I'm real transparent.
But the thing is,
So
you need to remain you by yourself. Some people are you know, trying to remain me, but still be in a relationship with someone that's not really, you know, aligned with them.
but then that's more about you acknowledging and your choices. That's about your choices.
Yeah.
Because you are trying to force fit someone into, again, your narrative that should not be there. I want to make you this for me, and then I'm going to blame you when you're not that.
Exactly.
And then because now I'm disappointed because I'm not getting from you what I want, although you're who I want to get it from. But I'm not meant for that. So again, that's a us thing.
Yeah, but
You
that's
know,
why I think the vows are constantly broken, because that
Exactly.
is the cycle.
That's
That
exactly
is
what I was
that's
gonna
the
say.
conversation. Like, why are the vows broken? Because
That's
we have
why.
that's why.
That's why.
because you and it gets to the root again, and it's a person, it's introspection of your selection. Like I had to own up what I set myself up for. Like I willingly signed up
Yeah,
for. And I was just like I did that. I went in knowing that this was not for me. I did. I went in knowing that you're not gonna be like you can't, like you're just not. I went in knowing that your deficits were too great and they would never fill the spaces that I needed them to fill. You did not have the capacity emotionally to manage me. You could support other things and I can show up for you and keep you covered in every way. But I already knew that and I set myself up for it. And I could not blame the other person. I could not, because that was my choice. And when it became my choice, I couldn't even complain about it. And my people was like, well, how come nobody knew this and that? Why am I complaining to you about what I decided to do when I knew the outcome? It's a delayed outcome. So do I continue to live the lie so that I have something over nothing? Or do I own up to it? Because it was more painful to me to stay in a situation where I'm not being poured into than to save face just so that I'm not by myself, you know. And God really, and again, you know, this is my moral compass, y'all. God really had to have a conversation with me And I was real hard. I was like, God, I ain't doing this no more. I said, I don't even want to go out. I don't want to talk to men. Like, don't even let nobody look at me cross-eyed. Just like, don't do it. You know. Hey, Denitra, welcome in. Thank you for tuning in, sis. So glad you came in the room. What's up, mama? And the conversation that I had to have with God, and whatever your moral compass is, that's what you do. But this is my story. I said, nope. And the next relationship I get into, you know, the ninja ain't getting nothing. You know, I'm not, you get no emotion, do nothing. Because I'm all or nothing. I'm black and white. I'm all or nothing. I don't do shades of gray well. Like, you got to define stuff for me. And then we'll figure out how. But I can't do because, you know, and I was like, nope, I don't care. And whatnot. And God was like, let me tell you something. What you're not going to do is harden your heart. And I was like, oh, I absolutely am. And God was like, oh, I promise you you're not. I was like, well, I'm already there. He's like, okay, I got something for you. You know, and he dealt with me on it. But the thing about it is this. He's like, so how fair is it for me to align you or expose you to the person who I may have, and some people don't believe that God created people. Listen, that's not the conversation. You know, because some people are like, God don't put people together. People put people together and all that. So I just had the sidebar. So we just dismiss that before we get there. Stay in focus with this one. Okay. So God is like, what is going to happen when I put him in your path and you in his path? And then you show up not giving him what I put in you for him because you decided to give it to other people that I never assigned it for. God was like, how dare you hold back on giving to my son or my gift that I'm giving you because you made choices, you know, almost like the prodigal son, you know, like how dare you know what I'm saying? Like, what in the world was you thinking? And that was a conversation that really God was like, so you're going to harden your heart and then you're going to ruin the very thing that I designed for you, the thing you say you want, all because of the fact that you went outside of the ark of safety, you know. And I had to deal with that. I had to own up. I had to, and I was like, no, because then that's not fair to that person. Why should I make you have to bargain, barter, sweat, blood, and tears for my love when you were not the one who did anything? Why would I show up half empty to you? So for me, in any relationship, I show up and I give my all. Now, I give my all in the portion that's assigned for you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not giving you every drop of me, but I'm giving you all of me that's designed for you. And you're only going to get your portion. That's it. Like, you don't get the overflow. You don't get the extras. You get what's designed for you to get. And then we go from there. You know, I don't want to, because I don't want to show up in a relationship halfway. You know, I don't want to show up halfway. I know we all bring our baggage, but if I can't come in and be open and free with you from the gate, then that's not a space that I can be in. Like, I don't want to be bound and hindered, you know, because then to me, we're already creating a dynamic that's going to cause breaks because we're already starting with distrust. We're already starting, you know, with limitations. We're already starting from that point, and then it just chips away, you know, from there. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but I just think like
You know.
you said, like, how do we get to the point of helping those that are coming behind us, right? The younger men and females to begin to understand, right, how to build these healthy relationships, because we're still trying to navigate it, right? And so what are the areas that we can share, right, that we can help them understand, right, like what you said, right, the choices we make, right? It just, I mean, relationships are so multidimensional.
I mean, if I talk in there,
And
like I, you know, like
always, hold on, the people is chatting in the chat. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Moose.
oh no,
My thing is delaying, so I apologize.
no, you're good. All I was gonna say, like for me, is, you know, I would talk to the youth and learn to conflict resolution.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be a big thing, right? And recognize that if a person is not working with you in disagreement, you know, and understanding that sometimes as individuals we have our own ideas of trust, of respect, disrespect, of all these different things, and try to define them, try to get our definitions aligned.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you should be trying to do in your relationship. It's great to have fun and to go on dates and do all kinds of crazy things, but you should also be trying to see like where you're going and how you're aligning together.
Mhm.
Do your definitions match? What's your thought process of love? Because we all speak this language, English, that has multiple meanings for so many words and allow for evolving meanings with the same word, right? So you know, like one word can have 100 different meanings, and I'm exaggerating, of course, but
Yeah, but
like, how do we align those things, right? What does it look like when we're in disagreement? That's a big thing. Is there conflict resolution? Is there critical thinking? Am I seeing big pictures? Is this person not seeing big pictures? You know,
emotional intelligence,
yeah, yeah.
right? Like emotional intelligence
Well, I
is,
think that
But what is that? And
but
what?
that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like everybody should study. Like, I've literally studied, right? Like that, like taking classes and courses on what does it mean to be emotionally intelligent. Like, what does that mean? People love to throw that around, right? Because there's emotional
well,
intelligence, there's
first of
functional
all,
intelligence.
you got to get people. You got to get people to acknowledge their emotions and be honest about them.
But that's what
First of
I'm
all,
saying. But people don't even know
because
what it
some of us
means.
won't even be honest about what we feel.
Exactly. So,
But can I
but
be honest? Can I be honest about how I
yeah,
feel?
exactly.
You know,
Is this space safe enough for me to be honest about
I
how I
mean, I may have been in the I have already made vows to you, and then while I'm honoring my vows to you, you made a space for me to be unsafe.
exactly?
Now, what happens then? How do I continue to go on? You know? And as a man, like we said, I'm already used to disappointment.
Mhm.
I'm used to not having my thoughts or feelings or who I am even matter. So I'm used to that. I'm used to having to put your thoughts, your feeling, your hurt over mine.
And to the point of conflict resolution, right? It's also part of like,
That's a
and
good.
you know, people hear me say this a lot, right? The rules of engagement,
Correct. What's
right?
the ROEs?
What
Yes.
are the rules of engagement?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I need to know the rules because
Well, a
here's
lot
the
of us
thing.
are not willing to even. We not willing.
I think she's
Go ahead.
delayed.
Oh, okay, okay. No,
Go
speak, Lady Dawn.
ahead, speak. Because you're coming in like
Oh,
delayed.
well, I forgot what I was gonna say. I know
We
it's
thought
the I
you were
can't. It's
asleep.
the mountains. I can't help it. I forgot my thought. But while I'm speaking, let me read the comments in the moment that I can.
Oh,
Denisha says, "Love
Mama Rosa,
that."
the comment earlier.
I think she read
Okay,
that
I'm gonna go back up in the section.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
I did. I read that before.
no, you missed one of Mama Rose.
Denisha says, "Love that." She says, "Love that. You don't get all of me. You get the portion assigned for you."
Mm-hmm.
Justin is in the building. AJW Coach Vulnerability says, "Hey family, so far, so far being late, but mentally I needed this workout. Keeping this gym vow to myself. Hey, listen, that's
That's
important.
it.
Keep the vow to you.
Yeah.
That's the person. If you can't keep the vow to yourself, you surely can't keep it to nobody else. That's the first place
Yeah.
you practice keeping a vow.
Mm-hmm.
Denitra says, exactly. What does the conflict resolution look like, and what does a healthy relationship look like to each individual? Okay, let me see. Mama Rosa said, I see what you're saying. Okay, she said, I think we think of holding back now because we are in that group of those who have been hurt. But in my mind's eye, we should give our all at all times. But when we know they are the right person, and I can receive that, but I struggle with, I'll tell you what I struggle with that. It's this concept of the right person, because everybody thinks the right person is a perfect person. The right person does not mean that you're not gonna have disappointments, that there's not gonna be arguments, that there's not gonna be disagreements. Like, the right person means, to me, the person who is able to manage and navigate and still be present through all sides of me. That's the right person for me is the one who knows how to calm Dawn's nervous system down, who is not affected when I'm having my girl moment and, going all deep and left. Like, I need you to be unbothered, because that I'm having a moment, and vice versa. I'm just saying, like, that's the right person for me. But a lot of times people think the right person means that there is no issues. They're just perfect. And you know what I'm saying? They're looking for perfection out of that person. And look who came just in time before we begin. We got a little bit of time left before we begin to wrap it up, because I'm not going to keep y'all all night tonight. AJW's in the building. What you got to say, sir?
Hey, brother.
I came with the toxicity.
You know what he's coming with.
No, I'm listening, but I heard you say something about the right person. I'm like you. I think we gotta submit ourselves to the right ideas, because the right person is gonna carry the right ideas. Sometimes you can have the person may seem right, but the idea is garbage, and y'all, it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
They ain't gonna hold on to no vows.
We're evolving all the time, right? So who is the right person? Because as we're growing, as we're learning, as we're evolving, is this person able to do that with you? Like Justin said, it's the right ideas, the ideology, like Moose talked about, the alignment, the rules of engagement. How have we talked about how we're going to communicate? How have we talked about how we're going to make this a safe space for both of us, not just one of us?
Right? Yeah, the right person got to be able to flow. Yeah. She got to be able to flow with you through all seasons, all weather, all situations. Again, remain committed to the commitment. Because what we're not going to do is, we got to be committed to not breaking the vow, which means that I'm more mindful of who I'm making a vow to and with up front. Now, if you switch up, because people switch up, that happens too. That's not my fault, but we do the best that we can. And then, we have to agree at that point that, we're going to end this as opposed to breaking it. Because if we keep on living in it, it's going to be a lie and then it ends ugly. But let's be mature enough, like you guys said, to communicate, have those rules of engagement, conversation. But everybody's not mature enough to do that, sadly. But hopefully we'll get there. Denitra said the right person is the person that I am giving my energy to right now. You can't give 100 waiting to find the right one. I just, I wanted to shift for a second to Moose had said before, it was a how. I forgot what the question was exactly, but as you were talking, but it made me think of the point of how do we recover from these broken promises? How do we get out of this space? Like you said, in teaching the young people, how to avoid it. First of all, we got to know how to get out of it, because a lot of us are in it. And if we're honest, I think that us being honest and transparent, stop start with the fairy tales. As Moose loves to say, love ain't Disney. You know, um, it can be a picture of what love can be like, but you got to be honest with them about what the journey to get there looks like, because often we see the end result, but we don't see the journey and the process that it takes to get there. And then a lot of us are stuck and trying to teach our young people from our broken space, because we still stuck from where we were broken, and we need help learning how to get out of that space. So I wanted to share like what some of the steps of how to recover from broken promises, because some of us don't know that, and that's why we're still there. How do I want to, but how do I? And Moose touched on some of these things earlier too, which I was glad he did. Is recovering from broken promises requires active, honest communication, which is what we're talking about. It is accepting accountability, which is one of the first things that Moose talked about, and rebuilding trust through consistent, action-oriented follow-through. And some of the key steps that we have to engage in is apologizing sincerely without excuses. Most of us don't know how to do that. We apologize and then tell a story behind it. It's never just, I am sorry, I apologize, I was wrong, I see what you're saying. And we don't just leave it there. We do not validate the person's feelings and situation. We add a tag on that loops it back to us, and we start with, but I, so, and it's like, it just disregards the whole apology. So we have to learn how to sincerely apologize without excuses, and then set realistic future expectations. I hear you. I apologize. I see your point of view. I was in error. Going forward, I would like to try to do this in order to avoid this from happening again, but I might need some grace. I may not get it right the first time, and then allow time to heal for the other party as well as yourself. Because like Moose said, if I let you down, I'm disappointed. I feel disappointed, and you have to forgive yourself. You got to take ownership and radical ownership of it. And I love the action oriented, just apologizing to apologize, but there has to be some action behind it. So those are some of the steps that we can take to recovering from these broken moments that we have, or these broken spaces that we have. And you guys hit it on the head. Communication is a major, major key to all things. Now, last thing I want to share is how, I don't know what, my internet is not being my friend tonight. Once we get through that, then we got to figure out how do we move forward from there. If we're not learning it, how are we supposed to teach our children? How do we teach the youth not to repeat it? We move forward from broken promises. It requires acknowledging the pain. A lot of us do not acknowledge that I'm hurt. I'm learning to say, this hurt me, or that hurt. I'm learning to not allow overtake me, but being able to say, you hurt me, or I did this. Acknowledge that you're in pain. Again, communicate openly about the breach. Let's have a conversation about what happened. And reevaluating trust based on actions rather than words. And I think that, again, is one of the main things in regrouping. We got to be honest and show our kids that life is going to happen, and show each other life is going to happen, but you can recover. Anybody want to share anything before we get into the wrap up mode today?
I agree, right, with all of that, but I also agree that we also have to recognize when sometimes this isn't it, and we got to be okay with saying we should part ways, or we might need, this should not, this is not working, right? Like, and be okay. I think so many, and I'm talking for myself. I know for me in the past, I stayed in so many things because I was trying to fit a round peg in a square hole, or a square peg and whatever the saying is, right? And for me, it's important to do the work and all of that. Like, I've growth process, but also to know when, what, we've talked it out. We tried to set rules for engagement. We've tried to communicate. We tried to do all of that. And you know what? You're a wonderful person. I'm a wonderful person, but we just may not be wonderful people together. Right? And know when it's okay to
Right.
say this isn't working, and there's no hard feelings. Right? And for me, that's a lot. I come a long way. I had to get to that point, right? Of being like, it's okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay without you, right? But I do think it, like, I think Moose summed it up a lot today around just that accountability piece is important, that
It did.
communication. But I also, I talk about it a lot, the rules of engagement. We got to talk about, how we're going to communicate, what that looks like, how do we
Hmm.
create safe space for
Yeah, and
both
I
of us.
think you set those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those rules of engagement are set in, like what you were saying and what Moose was saying. Heavy on the communication piece. That's
Yeah.
where all of that is established.
Yeah. Like you have to,
And there's so many pieces and components to these things, and we're just we're sharing to add light, to provoke a thought, so we can be more open as we are engaging with one another, so that we can maybe try to save some vows by maybe
yeah.
not
And
entering
doing
into
it
some
in a kind way,
spaces,
not and doing it in a way that's not hurtful.
or learning how, Moose, what do you want to leave the people with tonight? You have shared so much meat tonight. I love it. I love it. Like you got me sitting here in a quiet space. Like I need to go sit and think now.
Well, I mean, look, I'm loving the conversation, and I got to say this. Like I align a lot with Theodora in this, Miss Theo in this, because and for me, um, being in a situation where you know, listening to her speak, I'm in a situation. I'm living situations. I'm sure there's many people living situations and don't know how to get out of those situations, right? And I think it's important, like, to one of the reasons why I want our youth to avoid situations, because sometimes they may not be as black and white as getting out of those situations, you know, and you sometimes get yourself into things that you're more entrenched into, and it's just really hard to get out of. And I just want people to understand that too, that here we are, still trying to figure out how to get out of some things or not fall into some things. And so if we can help you with our stories, with our anecdotal experiences, with our mindset, with our heart, help you to make better decisions, to be more mindful and intentional with your decisions, then I think we're doing a good job. That's what I want to do for you. Like those of you listening, I want you to be able to really, really think about your decision. Think about the person you're choosing. And I another thing I heard that was amazing and was beautiful, right? Uh, it's not about the perfect person. It's about uh, an imperfect person that fits perfectly with you, right? You're two imperfectly people. I heard this saying before. I just can't remember who authored the quote. But like, if you care about me, if you love me, even if what I'm doing might be a little too much for you, you'll still find a way to come back to me. You get what I'm saying? So like, it may not.
Hmm.
This seeing it a little bit differently. Like, you know, you may not be able to adjust with what I'm going through at the moment, But if you have the willingness and intentionality behind your love for me, you will come back to me. And if I love you and I have that willingness and intentionality too, when you come back to me, I'll understand and I'll receive you and I can give to you too. Right. And that's the reciprocating thing. Right. So love has to present itself, has to be there. And love is not just the feelings and everything. Love is my intentions, my how I see and feel for you, and even what you want for you. So anyway, I close out on that. Intentionality matters.
It does. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I'm big on intention.
No, thank you. Thank you. Justin, if you could surmise and bless the people with your thoughts, feelings, closing opinion of the conversation from what you have gathered, or just a gem that you can share with people about, when vows break, how do we move forward? Like what resonates with you? Help the people.
I guess I'll close it with this. Healing ain't easy and coaching ain't free. And now that Lady Dunn is certified with Miss Theo certified, got Moose on the way to this certification. Y'all can get this stuff straight.
Talk about it.
It's about to be Coach's Corner for real.
And let me throw it out there. Let me throw it out there. If you guys have access to some of the other social medias, you want to jump on because there's some collaboration going on with some things that touched on some of the things we talked about tonight. So, we throwing it out there, Yeah. So y'all know where to follow us at.
That's it.
So, y'all know where to follow us.
You can be free on this station. You can tell everybody. You go to TikTok, check out the Real Ones page, follow Moose B Strands, follow AJW, follow Coach Theo, follow me, follow us all of the places. TikTok, they be a little sensitive, but over here, YouTube, they don't mind. They ain't mad. But yeah, we all okay. I done told y'all that there's some real deals up in here. But when we come on Thursday nights and we have a conversation, we're speaking from the well of our experiences, not always with our professional caps on, because at the end of the day, we are real people too. We are teacher and student at the same time, and we are helping others to learn as we have learned and are still learning ourselves. So we're not gatekeeping no information. We are giving it out to you. But as Justin said, you can make an appointment now. And we're going to make sure that going forward, we have how you can reach out to your favorite coach and make an appointment, have a little therapy session going on. But I want to thank you guys for this conversation on tonight. It's one time, but I hope that you took away the gems, the nuggets, and the jewels that you needed to know that you can get up from where you are. You don't have to stay stuck, even in the midst of the breaking of a vow. There is a way that you can regroup and recoup so that you can live to love again, even better. Don't deny yourself the opportunity of a new normal, and it might be better than the last. So, with that being said, we appreciate you tuning in tonight. Please continue to hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and join us for the month of March. It is Women's History Month, and the ladies are going to be coming through hot and heavy. We got conversation. Let's see, we're going to talk about girlfidence, which is the confidence of a woman. Is our strength a turnoff? We're going to be talking about the fragrance of a lady, the soft girl era. Have we lost our soft touch? Then we're going to bring the men in to talk about when a man loves a woman. When a woman is loved right, what happens? We want the men to share. We got the men talking about that from the male perspective. And then we're going to wrap up the month of March with some girl talk. We're going to have the real women conversation. Let's keep it real, sisters. I got some questions. So, if you joined this month, please share it. Please come back next week. And feel free to join me tomorrow night at 7:30 across the street on the ministry channel, which is the Sheila Ingram Ministry Network at 7:30 p.m. I'll be switching hats and I will be coming to you as Elder Dawn for 30 minutes of encouragement through word, prayer, and song. We hit it, we quit it, we end our week with a little fellowship and a little time with God. So have a great night. We appreciate you all. We will see you next week. Don't forget to tune in. Don't forget to bring a friend. And we look forward to seeing you then. Have a good night, everyone. All right, apparently my laptop doesn't want us to go nowhere.